everyone! I'm Sonic the Hedgehog! Welcome to the Hedgehog Zone! Welcome back to the Hedgehog Zone. If you're new here, I'm Axidus, the fox boy axe with the Sonic facts, some say, and today I'm going to be spitting not facts but opinions about Sonic Prime. I'm sure you've heard of it, this little cartoon that came out a while ago. Actually, there might be some facts as well. But it won't be just my opinions, you'll also hear from some other members of THZ, the co-host with the most insanity and logos, Gio, the cat mother, Hailey, our resident wolf girl, Shalise, and Luke's here too. So let's get started. Now, Sonic Prime is the most recent Sonic series in an ever-growing lineup of Sonic shows. Originally, we were told we were getting 24 episodes of the show, and that it was being made by Man of Action, the creators of Ben 10, Generator Rex, Zack Storm. This had people cautiously optimistic, with the tone said to be similar to that of Generator Rex, I believe. The plot revolving around Sonic redeeming himself for his hasty actions. A man named Logan McPherson from Wildbrain had made a statement regarding the animation production, declaring a more cinematic look and comparing the action scenes to that of Marvel films. Fans were definitely excited, hoping to gear away from the more childish nature of the games since Sonic Colors in 2010 and especially the Sonic Boom cartoon series in 2014 to 2017. So, did it deliver? When the show first aired, I was intrigued, to say the least. I was very excited in some ways and also not excited in other ways. I wasn't really sure what exactly I would be hoping for. The concept of the multiverse is something that I was interested in, and I've been interested in this trope since it started. Of course, many people were already tired of the trope as soon as it began. What was Spider-Man in the Marvel series? My only gripe was that it probably wasn't going to pull from the actual other continuities that the Sonic franchise has, and was probably going to opt for creating original alternate dimensions that we had never seen before that exist in the vacuum of Sonic Prime. And that's exactly what happened. So that expectation, I just went ahead and threw it straight out the window, didn't even worry about it, don't bother, so get in that mindset. I had already seen concept art as well, and I did think it was interesting seeing that Eggman was going to be split into multiple characters. And I also liked that the aesthetic of the show was going to be more like the games this time around. And I don't mean just, oh, it's modern Sonic or like in Sonic X where they're referencing the game designs. I mean, as a CGI series, they literally are basing it off of their actual designs from the games. Some changes here and there, like with the Mario movie and Mario, but for the most part, it's their game designs based on their current game models. The animation is more slick and stretchy, a bit cartoony, but the thing that stood out the most to me was the voice cast. As many already know, the series was a Canadian production, so the voice cast was primarily Canadian voice actors. And I've always been excited to hear what a new portrayal of these characters are going to sound like. It's either going to be really bad, or it's going to be really good, or somewhere in the middle. Those are the only that's reality. Those are the only choices. Why am I acting like it's so limited? What the heck? What did I think? Well, I think that they did pretty good.
I think the voice acting and the characters are absolutely amazing.
So Axe told me that one of the voice actors, he did like an indie project for something with the raccoon. I don't know that name. I'm sorry. But it was like a raccoon kind of character and how he became the voice of Sonic. And it's like, oh, that's so cool. Like a full circle.
That's right. Devin Mack voices Sonic the Hedgehog. The first time I heard Devin Mack was actually as a character named Raccoon from, you see, back in the prehistoric days of YouTube, there were these videos called Brawl Taunts, short animated parody videos about Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Hey Mario, let's go.
Wow! Why does no one pay attention to Luigi?
These were created by a YouTuber who went by the name Kerbofer. Kerbifer, or Christopher Niosi, went on to make his own independent animated series called Tome, Terrain of Magical Expertise. On Tome, there was a character, part of a duo that were sort of like the Team Rocket of the series, and one of the two characters named was Raccoon, the raccoon. And that was my introduction to Devin Mack. So then finding out that Raccoon is the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog was baffling to me. And then I saw all the other stuff that Devin Mack did in between. Proud of that guy. That's really cool. Also really cool is while researching this, I just found out that Christopher Kerbifer was the voice of Reigen Arataka in Mob Psycho 100. What? I didn't know that. What?
Fantastic. If anyone needs me, I'll be in the woods beating down chumps.
You do that.
I will! You're in luck! I, Reigen Arataka, shall accept this job!
Anyways.
I can't really think of a character whose voice I didn't like. Honestly, Tails is great, Amy's great, Knuckles is great, even though I think it's a different one for each universe for some reason for him.
Like, everyone all around did a fantastic job with their roles, except for Bass Knuckles. His voice acting is a little off-putting when you put him right next to his counterparts, but again, it's a nitpick.
Shadow's great, Eggman's great.
The old school Knuckles, Sonic Underground? Yeah, so Sonic Underground, he was Knuckles, and it was funny because it was kind of like that prediction of like, oh, is he gonna be Knuckles? But I was like, no, he's Eggman. But he did a really good job. I really like his Eggman's presentation, especially like Dr. Oh my god, the one with the toupee. Yeah, he was cool. I really did like that. It's like he had like his own version of Eggman by being like Mike Pollock and the old school Eggman put together and made it seem like seamlessly, like it was like natural. And then I was like, I like it. I think it's cool.
Oh, speaking of Eggman, the Egg Council, this is going to apply to the whole show. I don't like them very much. It's kind of like Eggman mixed with Deadly Six a little bit. Like, oh, here's the Boomer Eggman. Here's the Gen Z Eggman, or here's the Eggman who's obsessed with video games. You can tell because he says noob a lot.
I thought they were pretty funny and that they bounced off each other very well. They were pretty one note. I gotta say though, I hate that baby. Yeah, just shut up.
I liked seeing the Eggman Council, like their interactions with each other, and it's like, oh, it's not just them having issues with Sonic, they have issues with each other. Like it kind of seemed like the sibling kind of thing where it's like, I'm tired of my brother, I'm tired of this brother, this one's always like hogging all, like just something where it's like we're roommates or we're brothers and it's just annoying.
I also enjoyed the interaction rate between Sonic and the other personas of his friends and loved ones. It also made me think when I realized that none of the other Shadowverses had a version of Sonic other than their own. I questioned why this was, and my only conclusion was that Sonic was either never born, or never came into his heroic nature, or just never existed.
I want to talk about the animation, and it is one of the show's biggest strong suits. From Men of Action using Squish and Stretch, which is probably the best for the fight scenes.
The animation for the show I did like. I think it was kind of cool how it did look kind of rubbery, but not as, I don't know. I think I personally do like it. It was kind of like how they were able to be more expressive, and then their body movements were more like fluid, if that makes sense. Because I don't know, I guess from the games it's hard to say, because it does kind of feel like they're just there, the characters, they just move their mouths and that's pretty much it, but their movements are kind of rigid and it's just a model, whatever.
The animation is good. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of 3D animation. I guess I've been spoiled by like Spider-Verse and Puss in Boots and stuff, so yeah, that might have something to do with it. But for 3D animation, this is pretty good. I think the choreography is what really sells it. The fight scene choreography, especially between Sonic and Shadow. Like, sometimes it would feel the fights between the two are contrived, but I didn't care because it looks freaking amazing. Like, that's how a Sonic fight scene should look. It's freaking mesmerizing to look at.
But it's cool to see how you do see sometimes when they're fighting, the characters are stretched out, but that's like a stylistic choice, I think, to show that everything is kind of like fast paced and that they're moving things like so quickly and animated. That it's cute. It has a charm. I say things are cute, but you know, it was cute seeing the style. I'm like, no, they're kind of cartoony, but they're not being too cartoony, but they're also trying to be like their own little thing, if that makes sense.
So far, first impressions, pretty funny, good voices, good animation. What's not to like? Alright, the music. So the music, I've got a lot to say about the music. The music was... I mean, the outro music felt a little nostalgic, even though it's not from anything. But the rest of the music was... I mean, what I mean to say is that, you know, it has kind of that, I don't remember any of the music. It was so unmemorable. What the heck was that?
The music is pretty standard, like each stage or shatter space has their own theme. Boss Cage Maze, it has the whole jungle motif going on.
The music is nice. It's like, right, I don't know, it sounds like typical TV music.
It's fine. I feel like Sonic music in media that's not the games has never really left much of an impression on me. Not that the music's bad, but it's not like Sonic caliber. Like, it's not near about the game's quality. But, you know, it's fine. It does its job.
Oh, wait, hang on. There was a scene where, so there was a scene when Shadow came back after he was fighting the Alpha Sonic or Metal Sonic. I can't remember if it was called Alpha. But the Shadow came back and then he did his, I like to call his own version of Chaos Blast, because like he kind of just like, you know, like put his fist on the ground and then all the robots exploded. It kind of was funny, and how just the sound effect, it sounded like sort of like it made me think of Sonic X whenever they show Shadow whenever he's appearing, and then it's like that brr, brr, brr.
Starting with Season 1, I think the setup and the story is really cool. I like the idea of Sonic hopping to different universes, and the whole thing with his shoes and gloves getting like different powers depending on which universe he is. I'm sure it's been said before, but that would make such a cool gameplay mechanic. I thought that all through even Season 3, I was thinking, man, this should be a game.
I fairly enjoyed the first season with its fresh takes on forming people and natural personalities into different ways or forms based off the Shadowverses that Sonic was hurled into at the start of it.
The story, which is an interesting take on the whole multiverse, is pretty unique, introducing a new MacGuffin called the Paradox Prism. So, Season 1, I would say, is the best kind of world-building-ish, with Sonic shattering the prism.
Season 1 was primarily introducing us to the different universes.
The aesthetic of the show is pretty, I would say, unique, especially when it comes to a multiverse story.
New York is the Robotropolis, New York mixture, Eggman Land.
Like with New York, you got that whole apocalyptic, Blade Runner, cyberpunk-ish setting, the Boss Cage Maze, which is one giant jungle. And then No Place, A Pirate's Dream. And then Ghost Hill and the Grandma are pretty just, overall.
No, it's a cool setup, although with the whole multiverse thing, it would have been nice to acknowledge, you know, like maybe Sonic Underground universe, Sad AM universe, Sonic X, or whatever. But I'm sure that's easier said than done. But, you know, that would have been cool to see. I did like, for the most part, the characters that he met in the other universes.
I like how they focus on Amy and the gang. I guess there was a lot of more focusing on Amy, because it felt like they had a lot more screen of Amy and the other variations of Amy. So it's like, okay, so they are changing Amy's character, so that way she's no longer a damsel. It's like how Tails had his own arc of being independent, that he can rely on himself and rely on others, but he can, you know, do his own thing. Same thing with Amy. It seems like they're like, well, she is gonna become more reliant on herself and that she can do it, like, even though there's maybe struggles. Like, at least, you know, she's able to do what she has to do. Rouge is cool. They made her, like, you know, how she is, sort of like a treasure hunter. I don't want to say spy because it seemed like they didn't really do a whole spy agent kind of thing. Like, her outfit looks like it, yeah, but I didn't have that vibe. It was cool how she was definitely the leader for, like, the Sonic Forces. Or, sorry, their version of Sonic Forces. Because, like, you know, she was their leader for the rebels. So I was like, okay, cool. It's reverse versus Knuckles, who was the leader. And then I thought it was cool how she and Knuckles in that version, they were like more like a team instead of being rivals. Which is kind of like, well, you know what? It is like showing that, hey, these two, when they do work together and put aside their differences, they kind of make a really cool duo, you know? And I'm just saying it was kind of cute how, like, there was a moment where, you know, they were, like, Nux was helping her and then she almost got hurt or attacked and stuff like that. I don't remember. I'm just like, he said we need her. What he really meant is, I need you. I need you, baby.
The whole Rebel, Knuckles, and Rouge, they're cool. Dread is a pretty neat character. I like the Amy's, especially Thorn. Thorn's really cool. And of course Nine. I love Nine as a character. And I'll get more into him in reviewing like later seasons, but yeah, I loved his dynamic with Sonic, how he was slow to trust him, and it was kind of like Sonic making that friend all over again.
So, wait, hang on. The other Tails were cute. I like the other Tails, you know, like the Pirate Tails is cute. The Tails from the planet, you know, the Mangle? Is that his name? Oh, I'm so sorry. Mangy. He was cute too. So Nine, I do like Nine. I could relate to how maybe he felt like he's all alone because, like, I guess it's like a what if with Tails. So it's like, well, Tails, if he didn't have Sonic, would he become more upset and kind of like feeling... Because it seems like Tails definitely has that lack of confidence and maybe thinking, I don't know how to do this and like I'm just not good enough. And that's what happened with Nine, trying so hard to prove that they're like, I can do this by myself. I don't need anybody else and no one can bother me. Like, no one was going to bully me just because I am small and I have this, you know, I guess I'm different. And that's why I was bullied. Like, no one's going to do that to me.
This is basically where the conflict stems from on the other side of the Paradox Prism. You have the Chaos Council, which I thought were fine, some don't like. New York was the most creative with their alternate selves. Rusty Rose, Nine, these two had some depth to them. When you get to Boss Cage Maze, it's all really about Thorn Rose. I mean, once I saw Thorn, she was near unrecognizable. That's just a totally different character. I barely even see her as Amy. And then the other four, whatever. They're just there, I guess. And in No Place, I like the idea, but really I don't care for those characters as much either. They're not very fleshed out. Dread, I kind of like. He's okay. A little surprised that he turned out to be a jerk, but I also think it's kind of cool that instead of him just being another friend, it's like, oh, he's Knuckles, but he's the enemy this time. My two biggest gripes with this season were just that it didn't really feel like anything was happening that I was too invested in, and the action started to feel a bit stale and repetitive. I did like that little nod to Sonic Unleashed though. There were other references in the fight scenes as well. I can't remember them. If I remember them in post, you'll see them right here. But again, I said two gripes. The second one being the dialogue or characterization maybe, or a combination of the two. Some of their lines I just think sound a little bit cheesy, repetitive, amateurish. Especially on Sonic. I thought that this was a hot take and that the internet was going to destroy me, but I thought Sonic was just really dumb.
I don't like that Sonic is kind of an idiot. Like, he just feels like too much of a doofus at times. especially in his interactions with Shadow. I get that they're playing off each other, and that's cool and all. I'm glad that, we're seeing Shadow as not a villain, but someone who genuinely wants to help. But I don't know, I feel like they made Sonic too stupid and too jokey at times. And he didn't feel like, the character that I love.
How is he a role model if he is acting this dumb and everyone looks down on him? He doesn't seem to get the situation when he's talking to Nine, still calling him Tails, and then every single character he meets, he has the same problem in every world he goes to. For someone so fast, he was a little slow, that's all I'm saying. The only thing that allowed me to sort of accept it a little bit more and try to just go with it is that this is Sonic Prime Sonic. It's not the Sonic from the games. It's totally different continuity. Oh wait, that's right. I forgot. At some point, I started noticing Sonic tubers talking about Sonic Prime and pointing out that Sonic Prime is supposedly canon to the games. And honestly, I've never agreed with that. Even if they officially said it, I was like, okay, they can make mistakes. They clearly don't know what they're talking about. They're gonna retcon it later, but there's nothing here that shows that it's canon to the games. Maybe the games are canon to Sonic Prime. Sonic Prime is clearly based on the game aesthetic. The game events have happened in Sonic Prime. Usually when you have Shadow, unless it's something like Sonic Boom where they completely rewrite the world, it's going to be its own continuity based on the games. The games are the source material. One note though, I do think it's pretty cool that they had a sprite animation flashback of Tails' backstory with the bullies, because we just saw that in Sonic Origins, and this show came out like right after that.
Now we get into going straight into season 2 here. But I know that everybody had to fight for their own Shadowverse crystals. And they were protecting from the Egg Council. And I thought it was genius. But what really turned for me was seeing Nine in cohorts with them, gathering intel and data for, well, I'm just gonna say it was all to find himself to make and create his own space, so he could feel safe and be himself.
Season 2, I would say, is the most dynamic to me for a couple of reasons. One is the interaction between each space, like the council versus our doppelganger of heroes. And most importantly, for me at least, is the showcase of Shadow without a Chaos Emerald. I just love all that. My most favorite moment was the Sonic versus Shadow, Ghost Hill. Let's be honest, it was fun. It was really fun. Least favorite was Nine's Betrayal. I'll get more into that into season 3.
I like Shadow's voice. I like how they're not trying to make it, because I guess they try and make his voice really deep for some weird reason, because they want to make him like mysterious and stuff like that. But this Shadow, he's not as mysterious. He's more like the friend who's your friend but not really your friend, but really he is your friend and he cares about you. It's just he's annoyed with you kind of friend. And then how it's like he had the attitude, but not really being an attitude, more like the person who's like, I'm done with everybody. Like, everybody is being dumb. Like, I'm the only one who's sensible here, and I have to help babysit this person because they need my help. If I'm not there, then I have to, like, they're doomed without me.
Since we're in the second season, it's basically saying we've established all the characters. This is how we're going to continue to interact with them. And I like that. I like that it's building off of what was started in the first season rather than opening new plots up. But I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed the fight between Sonic and Shadow. Like I said with season 1, I love the fight scenes. Even though this felt contrived, I could be remembering it wrong, but it felt like Shadow would just attack Sonic for just looking at him wrong. like at the beginning, is like, Green Hill's gone because of you, and then he tackles him. That's understandable, and he's a little angry. Then later, Sonic says something about the mission, and Shadow attacks him again. I feel like it maybe happens 2 or 3 more times, but I could be wrong. And I was just like, okay, dude, what is this accomplishing besides, padding out the runtime with fight scenes? I do like we get some Sonic Shadow team up, even though, again, I don't like that they made Sonic an idiot. But I like that he went back to revisit the different universes. I like that there was some interaction. It was like, okay, now we've introduced each Shadowverse, and now they're going to interact with each other. We had the Amy's meeting each other. We had Rusty Rose turning good. I think this was a season where she turned good.
The only thing I really took away from season 2 was Chaos Sonic, the robot.
Then there was a Chaos Sonic. I could not stand him. Like, I hated it.
I definitely like seeing the Metal Sonic. Even though he's not Metal Sonic, he was Chaos Sonic. I did like how, I don't know, he was more goofy. And it was funny how Sonic was just like, oh, I'm tired of this guy. He's so annoying. And it's like, but Sonic, that's you. Whenever you're being annoying, except 1000%. But I like his attitude, the Chaos Sonic, you know, before they made him more like an actual robot. But he was cool when he was kind of just being goofy and stuff like that.
His design was kind of cool, but also kind of weak, in my opinion, with the face. And his personality, I don't know what to say. In some ways, I think it's brilliant because he talked like Jaleel White Sonic, which was basically the Sonic in this show, but amplified. So he was annoying, but he was supposed to be, but I also didn't take the threat as much of a threat.
Like, I don't know why they wouldn't just use Metal Sonic or someone who wasn't annoying. Like, I get that he was supposed to be annoying, but that didn't make me appreciate it anymore. Like, I was just sick of him. I did not like Chaos Sonic. Also, I don't know, his design is okay, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. Yeah, I didn't like Chaos Sonic.
Now, over the break between seasons 1 and 2, I initially thought that Chaos Sonic might be a reference to Sonic, the Time Cop Sonic from the Archie comics. It has a very similar design, and the whole point of Time Cop Sonic from the Archie comics is about the time travel and multiverse and stuff like that, so I thought it made sense. After all, the company that's creating the show was originally the company that created the 3 original Sonic cartoons, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sad AM, and Sonic Underground. What are the chances that maybe it could give some references to something that ties back to follow Sonic as a freedom fighter with the Freedom Fighters, Sally, all of that, which originally was sparked from the same origin as Sad AM. I didn't expect to see Sally or anything, and I wasn't going to get my hopes up, but I'm just saying I thought maybe there was a weird chance that they could do some kind of weird crossover like that. In hindsight, I feel it's like, it's really far-fetched maybe, and I probably should have known better.
Alright, season 3 of Sonic Prime I think might have been my favorite. Like, I was invested the whole way through. Like, I mean, I was invested in the whole show, you know, from start to finish, but not like, oh, I gotta see what happens next. So I wasn't that much. But with season 3, it kind of did, you know, get into that territory. I was like, ooh, I want to see the next episode, like, right now.
The first 3 or 4 episodes I thought were pretty good. I actually really liked episodes 1, maybe 2, maybe 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 3, and 4. There were some episodes that I just really liked. I think it was really cool seeing the characters all come together, meeting their counterparts.
I didn't like Dredd. Like, I knew he had to turn good and get over his greed in the end, but it just kind of felt like so sudden. Like, they were like, oh, we gotta turn Dredd good real quick. He sees Pirate Amy and he's like, oh, that's right, I like my friends. And, yeah. But it was fine. But I liked seeing all the characters from the different universes interacting. Like, that was the case for season 2 as well, but even more so here, because everybody's here. Everyone's all together.
Shadow is like almost everybody's favorite character in the show, or at least one of the favorite characters. I didn't really talk about Shadow's voice before, but I gotta say, I really like his voice in this show. There were some times when he just sounds like some dude.
You need to stop, Sonic. Listen for once. Green Hill is gone.
But sometimes he does a really good Shadow voice that seems like it fits right in between David Humphrey and Jason Griffith.
Some things never change, do they?
Their air shoes.
All of those who live down there.
And connect them to this one.
Look how pathetic they are.
And that actually surprises me because the direction that they went with in the games was completely different. I don't usually hear a lot of representation for Shadow in the direction of David Humphrey. This surprised me and I enjoy it. Thank you, Sonic Prime. However, I'm so sorry, Gio, I gotta say it. What is that running animation? What is... I mean skating animation. I'm so sorry. Again, this is probably related to Sonic's personality, but I'm not sure how I feel about their dynamic of Sonic being the annoying one that Shadow is just a little fed up with. In the context of the show, I get it. Shadow's us. He's like, Sonic, you are so stupid. The only thing is, I don't think that's how they actually are together. If you look at how Sonic Adventure 2 ended, if you look at Sonic Heroes, if you look at Sonic 06, this is more like how he was in Shadow the Hedgehog in regards to his relation with Sonic, that is.
My favorite moment is, again, Shadow, but also the Amy's kicking a lot of butt.
I think it's interesting that Rusty Rose has the red birdie in her chest, which is a combination of the blue birdie from Sonic Adventure mixed with the red bird from Gamma's body. Thorn Rose has like a giant birdie, which is pretty cool. Missed opportunity that Black Rose didn't get a bird companion, given that she's a pirate.
I also like Dread, the pirate Knuckles. But I did like how at first he seemed like he was being really selfish and was like, oh, you're like the bad guy? What are you doing? Or you're just being selfish, man. Do you not realize what's gonna happen? But then he learned his mistake and is like, you know what? Treasure's not all that important. What's really important are my friends and crew.
My least favorite is Nine's angst. Ugh, man. I'm talking like late 90s, early 2000s type of angst.
Shadowverse is disappearing, inhabitants forced to band together for good to stop Nine. Nine! This is Nine, people. Not the Egg Council. Our beloved misunderstood Kitsune genius boy.
Maybe some people might be surprised. For me, I kind of speculated that he was going to be the villain since season 1 when he first discovered the Grimm. And that seed had been planted in my head for so long that I actually forgot that I was the one who theorized it, and I just thought that the show was making it obvious. But I had heard that some people were surprised by it. So yeah, Nine is the villain, which I think is pretty cool.
I also loved how he really was like a sponge and just absorbed what he saw happening before him and used it to his advantage at the cost of his own strength. Because it seemed like whenever he used the prism, whenever he was absorbing energy into his tails or whatever, he got weaker and weaker and weaker over time. That's what it seemed like to me.
I liked the fight. It kind of had this anime vibe, how the fight kept going on and on and on. To me, that just means that the enemy was formidable. But when we were watching the show, I do remember stating that if people do have a complaint about this season, it's going to be because the fight was dragging on too long. Because I noticed that the entire season was pretty much this battle.
I like that season 3, the entirety of the season pretty much is just one battle, just one drawn out siege on the Grimm. And I liked it. I understand maybe that might have been boring for people, but I love that. It's like, I love that we're spending all this time. We're not rushing through this final battle. We're giving it a lot of room to breathe. It's giving a lot of characters their own moments to shine, some better than others.
And like I said in previous seasons, sometimes the action scenes, as good as they are, can start to feel a little generic when nothing is really happening. It doesn't really complement the story, it's just a fight scene. In this case, it's a little 50-50. A lot of characters wrapped up their arcs. I think that was cool. Dread deciding to choose his teammates over Treasure, I think is cool, because by the time that other dude tries to convince Dread to get the treasure, Dread had already started fighting the good fight.
I liked seeing the Roses bonding with each other. I liked seeing Sonic and Shadow team up. Again, we got some really awesome fight scenes. I love that we got a bunch of Metal Sonics that looked like Chaos Sonic, but they didn't talk, so I loved them infinitely more.
So I just like how in the last season, like how the Pirate Tails and Yumeji, yeah, they work together, and then it's like, okay, so they do show that Meiji is smart. It's just maybe he's in the wrong environment to kind of not show off his smarts. Whereas like, no, he inherently knows technology and the mechanical stuff like that.
There is one other thing I thought was cool, is that at some point, Sails and Mangy started messing with some tech stuff, and instantly I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's right, they're Tails too. So they should also be smart, right? Maybe, because they haven't really hinted at that yet. And then later, when they grabbed that one Chaos Sonic, or Chaos Knuckles, whichever one they grabbed, Hailey and I were laughing at that because they just pulled him away. But then I was thinking, what if they're starting to tinker on him? And then they showed in the background that they were. He had like the electric screwdriver and wrench and everything. And I'm like, wait, Mangy and Sails are smart too. So then when they supposedly killed them off, we were like, what the heck? No, there's no way that they died. First off, they could, but it just, I don't know, like it feels like something's going on here. And they took a long time to reveal that they didn't die, maybe to try to solidify the fact that they did, but they do come back. But first, someone else comes back. Somewhere in the fight, Shadow gets knocked into a crevice, so already knew we weren't going to see him for a while.
But you gotta love everyone in their tenacity. They kept the fire going till Nine had nothing left.
I was thinking they were gonna have like an Undertale kind of vibe where Nines and Sonic were gonna talk and kind of have, because like the whole, like, if you, spoilers for Undertale, like how Azrael had the rainbow powers and was able to stop, or kind of sort of, you have that battle. It was like, oh, what if that was gonna with Nines? What happens if Nines was like able to use the crystals and some kind of like some weird crystal rainbow kind of, I don't know, maybe like like maybe their own super form, and then try to beat Sonic like that. And then I thought there was going to be a scene where Nine was really determined but kind of getting frustrated. I thought Nine was going to be like, just let me win! And then, he would try to use like the full force at Sonic, but Sonic is too strong. And then maybe Sonic could have his own version of being supersonic or hypersonic, like the two crystals or the powers forming, where Sonic has his own energy he has, and then Nine has the crystal energy, and then they would clash, and then there's that moment of clarity. I'm gonna reference other stuff. It made me think of CV Universe 2 with Spinel. Like how Spinel felt really hurt and betrayed, and just like no one wanted to be her friend or just to get to know her. That's how Nine felt. Nine felt really like lost and confused, and because he thought Sonic was just teasing him. Maybe that's why he was so angry, because he's like, I finally thought I had a friend, like an actual friend, but then I find out you're not really my friend because you were just using me to get back home. Like, you didn't think about me? You didn't think about how I would feel, like, now you're gone? Like, because maybe Nine felt like, well, everybody else is saying, oh, don't trust this person. Like, they're not reliable, they're not like that, but you're the only person that was trying to defend me. Because in that moment, he just felt like, well, you just used me, so why should I help you? Like, I'm just gonna go somewhere else and be all alone. Like, if I can't even trust the one person who I thought was my best friend, then I'm just not gonna trust anyone else anymore. So that's probably why Nine felt like I need to be alone, and like I'm just gonna do my own thing.
I can see both Sonic's and Shadow's perspective about Nine. You see, Shadow doesn't trust Nine because Nine has his own goals. True. Sonic doesn't distrust Nine because Nine is not evil. Also true. And then that's the same reason that they're both wrong. Shadow's wrong about Nine because Nine is not evil, and Sonic's wrong about Nine because Nine has other goals.
And then eventually they had the resolution where it's like, no, Nines, you're my best friend, you are my friend, and I would never do that. Like, you were right about me. Like, I want to be there for people, and I would never let anyone behind. Like, that's not who I am. So it was kind of like how Sonic had to convince Nine, I'm not tricking you, I really am your friend, and I really want to help you, but you need me to help you, or you need to help yourself, so that way I can help you. You have to have the wand for the help. I don't know.
But then we hit the climatic point of Sonic sacrificing all the prism energy he had in him just to give Nine what he wanted, and he was on the brink of disappearing. Now, don't end it like that. Don't end it with Sonic disappearing like that. Don't end it with Sonic just vanishing. But then you see everybody come together. They see that the Green Hill he know and love was back. And everybody came together one last time. And they helped him get back to the Shadowverse. But boy, tell you the biggest hero of that whole entire moment, Shadow. My boy, Shadow finished the mission, breaking through his own limit of power and speed to save his nemesis.
Okay, so the ending for Nine, it kind of ends with them fixing Green Hill and getting everything back to normal. Everyone goes back to their own respective universes. But Nine stays in the Grim, which is what he wanted. But, I figured it was going to be one of those, he realizes that what he really needs is to be around people and to learn to trust people again. Because, in the Grim, he's going to be alone and probably depressed, even though that's what he says he wants. So I was like, he's going to open up to people again and rejoin the people in New York or something, or maybe go to Green Hill. I don't know. But he was like, no, he stays in the Grim. And I was like, okay, is that I don't know if that's a happy ending. It doesn't feel like it, but okay.
My last gripe, though, is that in the end, it felt like I skipped an episode because once Sonic started fighting 9 up close, the very next episode showed them inside, and I'm like, what happened? Did I miss something? So they're fighting inside. Sonic realizes that 9 just wanted to be with Sonic, but 9 just suddenly realized that, hey, I shouldn't be doing this. I mean, I get why, but it felt like if they spent less time on the battle, they could have fleshed out this part, and I'm sure that didn't make people happy.
I don't like how the final season sort of felt rushed, as in like with the conflict between Sonic and Nine's, how Nine was able to just change his mind after. Like, it's like, well, you kind of changed your mind pretty fast, Nine, after you were like having this big fight between everybody and being all like, well, I don't care.
It's over, 9,000!
So they try to stop everything, and then the what are they called? The Deadly Six, except there's 5 of them. Wait, the Chaos Council. There we go. These guys. So these guys start fighting each other when they try to betray everyone again. Yeah. So 9 just stays in the Grim. I mean, I guess he gets what he wanted. Sure. Honestly, I hear a lot of people also say, why would Sonic trust 9 in this situation? But also, why wouldn't he? Like, 9 is not evil. He doesn't want to conquer the world. He literally wanted to live in his own world.
But then again, it was kind of like a slap to the face. They hit the biggest freaking rewind button in the world. And like everything that he just went through and experienced never even really freaking happened. I'm like, what in the God's name? Because like I said, acting like what didn't happen is crazy, even though Sonic remembered it all enough. But him remembering everything he remembered, it kind of, I guess, set things up for season 4 of Sonic Prime, or maybe a whole new Sonic Prime 2 or something like that. Because it's like he went back, instead of Shadow in the prison, he just went on a bender against Eggman until Shadow appeared, coming in clutch with the chaos. So he's like, you know what, I'm finna take this, took that jump and say, yeet. He yeeted off with the arrow. I was like, oh my god.
Of course, the whole thing ending with a cliffhanger, and then I think it was confirmed that we're not getting any more seasons. I could be wrong, but I think I read something saying that. Which, why would you end it like that? Like, it doesn't even tell you what the new threat is. It's just like, oh, there's a shadow of something.
Some of the nitpicks I have of the show are, again, Nine's angst levels, not enough details about the Prism or the multiple Eggmen, and Prism Sonic not fully explored. Like, I feel like that was a gold mine to just brush by.
What was Eggman's goal, actually? Well, did he succeed in what he was trying to do? Like, was this his plan? Like, what happened to him?
I think it was just entertaining. I think for sure the show succeeded in what they wanted to do, that it was enjoyable for the kids to watch, and that people who grew up with Sonic probably enjoyed it too, and they probably like got to see some more of the Easter eggs and be like, oh, this is a kind of cool, fun interpretation of Sonic, and how we got to hear different voice casts for the characters.
One thing I forgot to point out is that there's this extra character, Captain Jack, that's voiced by Jacksepticeye. Cool, I guess. I personally didn't catch it at first. Geo caught it for me. Then there was this other random extra that started talking, and I'm like, who is that? And then Dr. Deep was also like, who are you? And it's weird because as soon as this character started talking, I paused and I looked at Hailey and said, alright, so which cameo is this? Because it was clearly somebody guest starring in the show. I looked it up. It's Valkyrie on YouTube. I'm just kind of surprised that they went with a YouTuber that I don't think is really like known for being part of the Sonic community. So interesting, but whatever.
Kind of a weird show, kind of an interesting show, which is what it was going for, I'm sure. But yeah, it's not my favorite, but it was a fun watch. I think Sonic Prime was pretty good. I had a good time.